Tracy here with the Oasis for Natural Healing. And we're going to talk today about guts, hormones, mood swings. Oh my. So let's just jump right in. So, one of the biggest things, and some of you guys may have seen the previous post that I actually did. One of my patients that I'm currently treating, she's been a patient of mine actually for a long time. And yes, you can get reinfected from parasites. No, it's not a one and done thing. Just because you've done a parasite cleanse does not mean that you'll never have to do a parasite cleanse ever again. Okay. So this has been a patient of mine for over a year, actually, yeah, longer than that. And she's on every 3-month basis with me right now, kind of as a maintenance. So we had our 3-month checkup, and she's been doing fantastic for a while. And she tells me that the last month, she's been getting some abdominal issues, and including nausea, some right upper abdominal pain, some back pain, some diarrhea, and she was feeling especially horrible after eating fatty foods. Now, this is a virtual patient of mine. She lives about an hour and a half away from me. She doesn't come in. She's been a virtual patient the whole entire time. And she's still in the same state that I'm in, that I'm licensed in. So as a family nurse practitioner, I can, as long as you are in the same state as me, I can write and prescribe diagnostic testing and things like that. So, and she tells me that these symptoms have been so bad to the point where a couple times she almost went to the ER. And so, my spidey senses kind of, and I'm like, okay, she's probably got gallbladder issues, and we better make sure that this is not, an obstruction, issue, or that it's getting ready to burst, because that's no bueno. So I ordered the ultrasound, but before the ultrasound gets done, because of course, she's not in an ER, I'm not in an urgent care, we're doing this virtually. So I order it urgent. And so tomorrow morning, or the following day, I need her to get it done. But in the meantime, I'm like, let's do some muscle testing. And she's like, she's all up for that. I'm like, let's see what we find out. So sure enough, her gallbladder comes up through muscle testing, through a technique called quantum nutrition testing. And her gallbladder comes up as an issue. And then we want to find out the underlying cause. So dun, 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 like, why is this gallbladder an issue? And she's muscle testing for parasites. So I tell her this. And it's been a while. I ask her what supplements she has, because she's done a parasite cleanse before and everything like that. And again, what's so cool is if you look on my Facebook page or Instagram page, you can actually see the pictures of the parasites that she actually excreted. And she almost started excreting these like almost immediately. So anyway, so we started on some parasite stuff right away. And then there are some supplements that can actually help break up kidney stones and gallstones, which is pretty darn amazing. So I ordered those for her. She muscle tests for them very, very well. We customize a whole game plan for her, like the dose and everything, based off of what her body's testing for. So, and I said, in the meantime, like, I want to see you like twice a week for a little bit, see where we're going, get that ultrasound done and things like that. So she starts on the supplements, and later the following day, she actually emails me and she goes, I'm pooping out worms. She starts sending me these pictures of like these huge worms. I was like, that's so cool. So I was like, okay, good. And what's kind of funny, and I'm so excited about this, because like people just don't know that there's like natural solutions. You don't, unless you wait too long, you don't have to necessarily get your organs and glands ripped out of your body. You don't need that. As long as you act on it. So the problem is most people turn around and they wait because they just have a symptom here or there. just for a little bit, and it kind of comes and goes. So people ignore it. So it's like small little things, right? How many times have you guys have done that? I just get that minor nausea once in a while, or I just get a headache once a month or once every other month. I only get dizzy a couple times, right? So a lot of people do that. That's kind of typical and normal. And I've been actually, I used to do that too. I used to put off my symptoms because, oh, it doesn't bother me as much. Right. So how many times have you guys have done that? Well, anyway, so what's kind of cool is that, if you get to a good holistic practitioner in time, a lot of your stuff can be resolved. So anyway, going back to um, the parasites and stuff. So the CDC actually recognizes, you can actually look this up. CDC says, yes, parasites can cause gallstones and they can cause kidney stones. So why are we not looking into that as a medical practice, like Western medicine practice? Why are we not looking for those things instead of ripping out your organs and your glands? I don't know, beats the heck out of me. Okay. So I know when we would do poop samples, we would take stool samples and stuff, everything always came back negative. Everything always came back negative. Stool samples came back negative all the time. And two things on that. Number one is, just because it's not in that small, tiny little sample does not mean that you don't have, they're only taking like one little dot, one little drop of your poop out of a whole chunk of poop. Okay. They're only taking one tiny little section. Well, if they're taking only like a microscopic part of that stool sample and you have a huge parasite, it's probably not going to be in that, like this tiny little spot. Okay. So doesn't mean that it's not in the rest of the stool. And they don't purposely go looking for parasites. So that's one thing. And our testing is really, really not adequate for testing for parasites. Not only that, but a lot of times you have to be excreting parasites and killing them off in order for them to show up in your poop. Okay. So a lot of these things are actually found in other organs and glands. And they while they're living, they attach themselves to your intestinal walls, to that particular organ and other things like that. So unless you're killing them off, you're not going to see them. But what's kind of cool, like I said, is that the CDC actually recognizes that, yes, parasites can cause gallbladder and kidney stones. So she started pooping out parasites and almost immediately. Now, this has been like 14 days, and she's been literally consistently pooping out parasites and sending me pictures for the last like 14 days. And again, if you look on a previous post of mine, you can actually see the pictures of the parasites. And in one of them, you can actually see, and she said they were hard and it felt like gritty, like, between the toilet paper and stuff like that. So, and I'm like, those are probably gallstones. And she's got 3 little dots, and it's actually on one of the pictures. So she's got 3 little hard, like round things. And chances are it is from the gallstones. And so she's excreting these. So with the proper supplements now, and I've been doing follow-up appointments with her for the last 2 weeks, and I'm doing them weekly with her. And so far, okay, so her ultrasound did show gallstones. It did show ascites, which is fluid collection around the abdomen. So it makes you look like very swollen, very bloated, and things like that. And usually that's when there's some sort of blockage, with the liver and with the gallbladder and things like that. So she did have gallstones. She did have sludge in her gallbladder. She had ascites. And she had inflammation of the gallbladder called cholecystitis. Okay, so that's inflammation of the gallbladder. And that's, usually pretty painful. And when that happens, you can't digest fatty foods properly. You can get abdominal pain. You can get nausea. You can wind up getting what's called dumping syndrome, which, because the gallbladder actually stores bile, which is needed to break down food. Well, if there's an imbalance in how your body is processing and excreting bile and actually making bile, you can't break down your foods fast enough, and that can lead to diarrhea type symptoms, or urgency, especially right after you have a bowel movement. So she was having all these symptoms. And so within the last 2 weeks, actually her symptoms have greatly improved. Now, so what did we do? Good question. So we started her on a custom made protocol. Like, it's not a protocol. So not that protocols are bad or anything. It's just that protocols mean that every single person needs the same set of supplements, the same dose for the same length of time. Well, that's not true. We know that, even doctors understand that, because how many times, if that's the case, every single person who had high blood pressure everybody would need the same medication and there'd only be one medication. Well, that's not the case. Every single person is unique and their bodies may need something different. And that's what I love about muscle testing. And believe it or not, it can actually be done virtually too, because we can custom make a tailor-made program for the individual, which is what we did with her. So now, yes, and quite honestly, she is on a lot of supplements. I will agree with that. And some people may say that, oh my God, that's a lot of supplements. Yeah, it's not forever. And she's in an acute state. And it's either this or her gallbladder gets removed. So, and she wants to avoid surgery. So right now she's willing to do whatever it takes. So this is her program to get rid of she's on 3 different supplements, 3 different parasite stuff. So from a company that I absolutely trust, from Cellcore. And this is what her body wants. Now, Cellcore has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 different supplements that can get rid of parasites. Okay. So her body's testing for 3 of them. Okay. 3 specific ones. Then she's also on a binder. So whenever you kill off parasites, you have to be on a binder, because when parasites die, they can release a whole bunch of toxins like heavy metals and heavy chemicals. And they release, dead things give off toxins. So when we kill them off, they're giving off toxins. We need something to bind those toxins so you don't feel like poop. No pun intended. So some over-the-counter ones, which are not they'll suffice in a pinch: charcoal and bentonite clay. The problem is that a lot of times they only get absorbed by the gut. They don't, like, if you have parasites in your head, for instance, and you get headaches from killing off parasites and you're not adding a good binder, you can wind up with headaches and migraines and things like that. Some people have been reported from not being on a good binder, getting anxious and getting depressed and things like that. That can actually happen because, again, when we kill off parasites, they release toxins. So binders are a necessity, and being on a good binder is really, really important. The binders that I use, you can't buy over the counter. Okay. These are physician grade supplements of the highest quality, and they go through rigorous testing to make sure that the quality is actually pure and good, and that these are high quality supplements. So, because a lot of the over-counter ones, believe it or not, have been bought out by big pharma. So even though the ingredient list hasn't changed, their processing might have changed, and how they manufacture and source the ingredients might have changed. So like Garden of Life, I used to love that as an over-the-counter company. But who bought them out? Like Colgate or something like that, or Pepsi Cola? Like somebody, I forgot who, but one of the big like pharma companies bought them out. So their ingredients didn't change, but who knows if the quality is still the same. And that's huge. You need a good quality supplement. Where are they manufacturing? Because so there was, somebody got really sick from turmeric. And now they were blaming turmeric because it caused liver failure and things like that. No freaking turmeric, like, do you know the amount, if you took a good quality turmeric, do you know the amount that you would have to take in order to cause issues? A hell of a lot more than taking, an extra dose of a blood pressure medication. Like, that shit can kill you in a freaking heartbeat. Like, comparing apples to like, you're not doing that. That's like asinine to even think that way. And people don't understand that quality of supplements is really, really, really important. And where are they sourcing it from? So that's why I trust the companies, and I don't recommend over-the-counter companies anymore because of that issue. So the companies that I like are Cellcore, I love Energetics, Systemic Formulas, Alimentum Labs, Aegis Formulas is another good one, MediHerb. These are all companies that I trust and I use in my office because they're good quality supplements. So she was on 3 from Cellcore. She was on a really good binder from Aegis Formulas. And she's on a whole bunch of drainage stuff. So not only when you kill off parasites, do you need a good binder, but then your body has to be able to eliminate these. And your body has to be able to process the toxins from killing off the parasites. So a lot of times it's not just the taking a good parasite supplement, but then you have to actually be able to excrete these toxins, and your body has to be able to process and eliminate the dead parasites and stuff. Okay. So her body was testing really well for several different homeopathic drainage support from a company that I trust, Energetics. Okay. She's on at least like three of those. So yes, you might be like, holy crap, right? Yeah, that's a lot of supplements. I get it. Yes, it is. I'm not denying that, but it's also doing the job. And it's also looks like it's preventing her from needing her gallbladder removed, because in less than 2 weeks, her swelling of her abdomen is 50% gone. She's able to eat because she wasn't able to eat. She was feeling full because of all the swelling. She's not really having diarrhea. The abdominal pain is very minimal. And she's been pooping out worms every single day for the last 2 weeks. And she sent me pics. So again, look at the previous post and you can actually see some of the pictures that I shared of the parasites and the gallstones. So yes, we will be doing a follow-up ultrasound to see if this is actually, getting better. Now, her symptoms have improved significantly, and she's pooped out so much stuff that I can't see why it wouldn't improve. But I want to give it a full month before we do a repeat ultrasound. And of course, I gave her precautions. If that gets any worse and things like that, go to your local ER and all that other fun stuff. So because, it just for precaution's sake, because I'm not physically eyeballing her. But we're doing follow-up weekly appointments just to make sure that we're moving in the right track and we're not backsliding at all. The funny thing is that, so this patient also had a history of cancer and breast cancer. So now I'm digging down the rabbit hole. Okay. So this is where the hormones come in. I love muscle testing and I love these things because who would have thought, oh, you are so welcome. Oh, thank you. So who would have thought? The other thing that was interesting is I started doing, digging down the rabbit hole. People don't know this. Your hormones, if you have hormonal imbalances like estrogen and progesterone, okay, if you have hormonal imbalances, that can actually lead to gallstones and kidney stones. All right. Did not realize this. And the funny thing is that if you actually look up side effects from your birth control pills, like how many women are on birth control, okay, on birth control pills, one of the side effects from that, and these are artificial hormones, by the way, so it's a chemical. It mimics our natural hormones, but it's a chemical. All chemicals are toxins to the body, and they have side effects because they are a toxin. So birth control actually can lead to gallstones and cholecystitis, which is inflammation of the gallbladder. So anytime that we're taking an artificial hormone replacement therapy, we have a potential for getting gallstones. So estrogen and progesterone, now you can have natural hormonal, well, I don't say natural because it's not normal. So I mean imbalances, meaning that you're not taking a synthetic hormone, that your hormones are just off kilter, um without like the hormone replacement therapy and things like that. So you can have hormonal imbalances. Now, what's the common denominator between hormonal imbalances and gallstones? If you're watching and you want to type in the comments, that would be fantastic. So if you want to take a guess. Otherwise, in 3 seconds, I'm going to actually name. So 3, 2, 1, parasites and toxins, but primarily parasites. Parasites are actually linked to gallbladder issues, gallstones, and hormonal imbalances. Okay, these can cause, and parasites are also linked to cancer. Okay, so people with like an estrogen imbalance and, you know, estrogen, like related to breast cancer and things like that. And this is a very sensitive subject, because it's very emotional for a lot of women, of course, but when you have breast cancer and things like that, and they say that it's estrogen related because of estrogen, there's things that are just not functioning quite right in your body, and there's always an underlying cause. So we want to find out, well, why is that? Why are these hormones so imbalanced? Why are you like getting, cancer cells and things like that? And chances are there's things like parasites that are the underlying issue. So there's always a reason why we have our issues. Why did we develop this in the first place? And a lot of times Western medicine doesn't look deep enough into that. So, oh, you have abdominal pain. Okay, it's because you have gallstones. Let's take out your gallbladder. Okay, well, dig a little bit deeper and let's find out, well, why did you develop gallstones in the first place? Okay. So, and you can say, okay, well, it's because I have, estrogen and progesterone imbalances. Okay, then beg the question of why. Why did that happen? And chances are it's either toxins and or parasites and or Lyme and or mold. Okay. So because the gallbladder is closely linked to hormonal imbalances, a lot of times women also have some mental health issues too and mood swings. So yes, I do believe that, people can turn around and have, organic depression and organic anxiety because of situations that they're put in. So some of us just, go through really tough time in life and things like that. But typically, under normal circumstances, we should not have mood swings. We should not have bipolar. We should not have anxiety and depression and things like that. Okay. So, and you can have normal labs, but it doesn't mean it's normal for you. So, mood swings a lot of times are hidden things related to an imbalance in hormones. So, for instance, TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys an example of this. So, TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. If it stimulates the thyroid, do you really think that it's actually produced by the thyroid? No, it's a hormone that is supposed to stimulate the thyroid. So that means it has to be produced by another organ or gland. That other organ or gland is the pituitary. Now, most people turn around and when they go to the doctor, their doctor turns around, you say, oh, I think I have a hormonal imbalance. I got brain fog. I have anxiety. I can't sleep. I have weight gain, all these things. I have IBS type symptoms. I think it's my thyroid. And yes, IBS type symptoms, all those symptoms that I just named are linked to your thyroid. So the doctor goes, okay, fine, let's do a blood work. And he goes, well, I don't know what to tell you. Your TSH level is within normal range, but we can give you a pill to help you sleep, and we can give you some medication to help with that anxiety and depression. Okay, that doesn't really, and then now you're made to think, oh, I'm just really a basket case. Not necessarily. So you can have normal labs. It doesn't mean it's normal for your body. I see this all the time in the office. When we do blood work, and this is what infuriates me. When we do blood work, it's an average. And as long as you fit somewhere in the middle, Western medicine deems you normal. But what's normal for you might not be normal for somebody else. And that's where I love muscle testing coming into place, because when we're actually muscle testing you and using quantum nutrition testing, it's like basically asking your body, hey, are you happy with where you're at? Wouldn't that be good for you? Wouldn't you love to have a practitioner be able to like compare you to you instead of comparing you to everybody else, which is basically what lab work is. We're comparing you to everybody else. So it's not individualized. And this is where I love muscle testing, because it's individualized. We're not comparing you to your best friend, you to your neighbor. We're comparing you to you and asking your body, hey, are you happy? And then your body goes, yes, I am, or no, I'm not. Okay. And then we say, well, why aren't you happy? Okay. Is it from heavy metals? Is it from heavy chemicals? Like, what's the underlying cause? Are you eating foods that's causing inflammation? Is it from parasites? Is it from Lyme disease? Is it from mold? Like, what's the underlying cause? Wouldn't it be wonderful to like know why you have your symptoms instead of made to feel like, oh, I'm just a basket case? Because I know that's what happened to me. I was completely misdiagnosed. I was put on psychiatric medications. Nobody ever did that for me. And I gained a whole bunch of weight. I was suicidal several times. And I was being missed. My labs were normal. My labs were normal. Had skin issues, was a hormonal mess, suicidal before my period, every single freaking month. Every single month. Their answer? Birth control. That made it worse. When it made it worse, they never even questioned that it could have been the birth control. Now, I was also younger at the time, and I didn't have as much knowledge as I do now. So I was a late teen at the time, and turned around and was suicidal. I actually have tried committing suicide 3 different times. Can you imagine being a teenager? Like, what did your mom think? Like, I like broke my mom's heart. I was suicidal and I tried committing suicide because my labs were normal. And heaven forbid that the doctors turned around and even questioned that the birth control that they used could have caused all these things. So instead, on top of the birth control pill, that landed me into the psych hospital. Then I turned around and got stuck on 2 different psychiatric medications and gained 90 pounds in 1 year. 90 pounds in 1 year. Lovely. And if that didn't add for like a young adult's depression, because now I was like 19, 18, 19 at the time. Okay, like that even spiraled me down into a deeper depression. So, yeah. And that was their answer. So I was made to feel like I was a psychiatric basket case, because nobody ever dug into why did I have my symptoms in the first place. And I see so many people now that this is what they're being spoon fed. Nobody looks into the why. Why do you have your symptoms? Doctors don't do that. They don't know how. I guarantee you that unless they're trained into more functional, homeopathic, naturopathic, muscle testing, me being a nurse practitioner and being in the Western medicine field for over 20 years, they don't know how. All they know is how to prescribe medication and cover up symptoms. That's it. That's it. If you are one of those people that don't know why you have your symptoms, or even if you do and you've been told you have X, Y, and Z disease, don't stop there. There's an underlying cause. I guarantee it. Okay. It might take a while for your body to heal. So, holistic health does not mean quick fix. It's not a band aid, guys. There's a difference. Okay. You have got to give your body the chance and the time it needs to heal. It does take time. But if you are willing to give your body time to heal, if you're tired of not knowing the answer, if you're tired of being on the medications, and if you're tired of having possible side effects, some of these side effects, and I urge you, if you are on a medication, start looking up. So I don't know if you know somebody who has the app called Epocrates, which I highly recommend, because quite honestly, when you Google search the side effects, they only give you the short and sweet things of the side effects and only like the simple things. They don't give you like the really scary things, which is on Epocrates, which is an app, by the way, that doctors can use, nurse practitioners and physician assistants can use. And it gives us all the scary side effects. And some of your safe, common medications are not so safe and not so good for you. And some of them are really scary. Like your antidepressant medications can cause depression and suicidal ideations, anxiety, heart arrhythmia, liver failure, heart attacks, just to name a few. And that's your most common side effects, or I mean, psychiatric meds. So I'm talking about like your sertraline and things like that. Okay. So Zoloft, Prozac, a lot of the common ones. So your blood pressure medications, okay? Chances are a lot of people with blood pressure medications, it's a hormonal imbalances. Did you know that your thyroid actually controls your heart rate, rhythm, and your blood pressure? Did you know that it can, if you have thyroid hormonal imbalances, even with normal labs, that you can have PMS issues, that you can have anxiety, brain fog, insomnia. You can have joint pain and inflammation from your thyroid. If you have estrogen and progesterone imbalances, that can cause thyroid issues and mood swings and gallstones. So, and then again, we want to find out, well, why do you have your mood swings in the first place? So if you're tired of feeling like that, I urge you guys to seek more of a holistic practitioner to go help you find the underlying cause, because I guarantee there is an underlying cause. If that is something that you would like to dive deeper with me, by all means, call me. We can do a free 10-minute discovery phone call. Okay. So just to kind of go over and see like what your options and maybe where your next steps are supposed to be. So free 10-minute discovery phone call. You can call my office 708-694-4092. Our next day, so our office hours too, by the way, are Mondays, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Tuesdays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, Fridays, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Times, and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So call during those office hours. You can DM me as well. Have no problems with that. Our office number is 708-694-4092. Please call. Would love to chat. Would love to help you get on. Even if you don't decide that you want to call, like work with, our office, I can at least, guide you into maybe the right direction. Okay. So please call our office, schedule that free 10-minute discovery phone call, and would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, again, don't hesitate to DM. You can type in the chat and I'll try to answer those as quickly as possible. Have a good night. Hopefully that this answered some questions